Yeah, we got Blago. All right, let's hear him. Let's take him live.
What's happening to me is unimaginable.
This is like an old Frank Capra movie, and I view myself as Jimmy Stewart or Gary Cooper. If you're asking me, do I see myself like a modern-day Frank Capra movie, and I'm the Jimmy Stewart or Gary Cooper character? Yeah, I see myself that way. Remember those old movies? Because this is much bigger than me or Illinois. Memorial Day.
The governor refers to the day he was arrested as his family's personal Pearl Harbor.
Set the alarm clock for 6 o'clock the next morning. I want to do that especially when you go out and run in the cold and dark of winter.
I had a whole bunch of thoughts. Of course, my children. And then I thought about Mandela, Dr. King, Gandhi, whether it's Jimmy Stewart or Gary Cooper. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Meet John Doe, Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, or It's a Wonderful Life. There's an old gospel song, One Day at a Time, Sweet Jesus. You know, there's a phrase from a poem by Rudyard Kipling.
I'm not comparing myself to Dr. King or Nelson Mandela or Mahatma Gandhi.
The saying that Dr. King had, in the end we remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends.
Oprah Winfrey.
Oprah. Lady Macbeth.
This is a political witch hunt.
This is a modern-day Frank Capra story. You can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or see the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools. Because I'm standing for a much bigger principle.
President Nixon had issues with tapes. Of course, the rest is history, and everything has changed.
One day at a time, sweet Jesus.
The heart and soul of this has been a struggle of me against the system. So you can bring in Rahm Emanuel and Jesse Jackson Jr., 10 angels and 15 saints led by Mother Teresa.
Well, where the hell is the Supreme Court? That's what I want to know. Right. The Supremes are here, but where's the court?
But I've done mostly the right thing.
You've compared yourself to Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi. Are you really seeing yourself as one of the great martyrs of history?
And I don't want to mislead you. I'm not by any means Ed Jensen or Oliver Wendell Holmes or anybody like that.
I'm not delusional in terms of what my likelihood of success is. It's a very lonely period.
There was an old saying in the Old West. There was a cowboy who was charged with stealing a horse in town, and some of the other cowboys, especially the guy whose horse was stolen, were very unhappy with that guy. One of the cowboys said, "Let's hang him." And the other cowboy said, "Hold on, before we hang him, let's first give him a fair trial. Then we'll hang him." If the cowboy who's charged with stealing a horse was charged with doing that in town, but in fact, on the date and time that he apparently stole the horse in town, he was on the ranch with 6 other cowboys, herding cattle and roping steers.
Have you since then prepared yourself for the possibility of prison?
No, I haven't.
He doesn't want to sound like Howie Mandel, but he thinks you should take the deal. If the fix is in, you should take the deal that the Assembly...
And I view myself as Jimmy Stewart or Gary Cooper.
Get me back! Get me back! I don't care what happens to me! Get me back to my wife and kids! I want to live again!